What's up guys, Chris Schwartz-Edmisten here from Schwartz-Edmisten Web Design. In today's video we're going to be looking at how to create these triangle section dividers that you see on each section on this page. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up the triangle and also how to add it to each section that you want to add it to. So I'm here in my 7.1 site. And the first thing I want to do is just check out the contents of the section. So basically the structure of the section. So as I hover over this section here, you can see that it's highlighted blue on the page, so I know that I'm hovering over the right HTML for this section. Now each section on the page gets a class of page section, and each section gets a unique data section ID. So this is what we'll use to target like an individual specific section. Now, if I toggle this open, we can see that there's a container inside here that has a class of section background. And this is where the background color styling is applied for each section. So if I scroll down to the next section, we can see that it has this kind of tan background color. So if I toggle it open and click on the background or the section background container, we can see that here the background color is that tan color. So what we're going to do to add the triangle is we're going to add an after pseudo element on this container. And we can do a kind of a cool workaround by applying the after pseudo element to this container. We can set the pseudo element's background to inherit. And so our triangle will automatically inherit the background color of the section. So with this, we can write just one specific chunk of CSS, and automatically the background color will be inherited by the triangle from the section that the triangle is applied to. So we'll be able to add it to any section on our site, and it'll look as if it's part of that section. So the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and just apply the triangle to one section, and then we'll cover how to add it to multiple sections. So again, as I said before, the best way to target a single section is to target the data section ID. So I'm going to copy the data section ID, and in CSS, you target data elements by surrounding it in brackets. So I'm just going to paste my data section ID between brackets and then open up some curly brackets. So now again, we're going to be applying the after pseudo element to the section background class. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that class name and paste that within my curly brackets and open up some more curly brackets. So now we can add our after pseudo element to this class, and we can start constructing our after pseudo element. So pseudo elements require the content property. If we don't include this content property, it would not show up on the page. Next, we'll position it, and we'll give it a position of absolute because we want to determine where this is positioned on the page. So next, we'll give it a left of 50% for now, and we'll give it a bottom of 0 for now. Then we'll give it a width of, let's do 40 pixels for the width and 40 pixels for the height. Again, this has to be a square. And next we'll give it a z index of 1. And let's go ahead and just, oh wait, first we have to give it a background color. Let's just give it a background color of black for now. Okay, cool. So we can see our little square on the website. So what we need to do first is to move down our square by the amount of its own height. So right now, by setting the bottom to 0, the bottom of this pseudo element is at the bottom of the section. But we want the top of the pseudo element to be at the bottom of the section. So we're going to give it a bottom of negative 40 pixels. And so that moves it down the height of the element. But you can see that all of a sudden it disappeared. Now, why is that happening? Well, that's happening because section background containers have an overflow of hidden, which means like if any contents within this container are outside the container's bounds, so basically outside this highlighted blue area, then those elements will be hidden. So if we hover over our after pseudo element, we can see that it's there, it's just being hidden. So all we have to do is target the section background class dot section background, and we'll set the overflow to visible. Perfect, so now we can see our black square again. But there's another problem. So we've used the left 50% to move this element over 50% from the left, but it moves it over from the top left corner. The top left corner of elements are the transform origin, and we obviously want the center of this element to be here. So we have to move our element back over to the left by half of its own width in order to make it perfectly centered. So what we want to do is set up a calc function. And so we'll write calc, open up some parentheses, we're going to write a little squiggly and then some quotation marks, and we're going to subtract 20 pixels because we need to move it over half of the element's own width. So now our square is perfectly in the center there. So the next thing that we can do is go ahead and we need to rotate this. So we're going to do that with the transform property. So we'll do transform, and then we'll write rotate in parentheses 45 DEG for degrees. So now our element is rotated, but we need this like middle of the square to be on the baseline of the section so that it just looks like a triangle. Because right now, obviously, it looks not very good. So what we need to do is, instead of moving it down by the height of the element, let's move it down by half the height of the element. And so that way, the points here are aligned with the baseline. So all we're going to be able to see is this triangle part of the square. So let's go ahead and put inherit as the background color property. And now we have our triangle section divider, which is awesome. Cool. So we have our triangle section divider set up. So how do we add it to multiple sections? Well, I'm going to go over a couple ways of doing that. The first is we can just target multiple sections using their data section IDs. So I'll inspect this section down here. And if I also want to add the triangle section divider to this section, I'm going to copy its data section ID. I'll add a comma here. I'll open up more brackets and I'll paste in that section's data section ID. So now we can just get a list of data section IDs going here for each section that we want to add this triangle divider to. So I'm going to copy this section data section ID as well, add a comma, open up some more brackets, and I can paste in that data section ID. And I can do this for as many sections as I want. So that's a way that we can manually insert data section IDs. If we want to add a triangle section divider to every single page section on every page of our website, obviously doing it this manual way, like we could have 50 data section IDs here. That's not a very good way of doing it. So if we want to add it to every single page section on our website, what we could do instead is, if I inspect the page again and we scroll back up, if you remember, each page section has a class of page section. So instead of doing all these section IDs manually, I'll just target .page section, and now we get the triangle divider added to every single page section on the website. But we get this little weird thing down. It's applying down here as well for pages with background images, and we don't want that to happen. So if I go ahead and inspect, we can see that pages with background banners get a class of has background added to them. So what we can do is we can target page sections, but not if they have the class of has background. And the way we do that is by using the not CSS selector. So not has background, close the parenthesis, and now you can see the triangle is no longer being added to pages with background sections. So now we've added it to every single section on every single page on our website. which is great. We don't have to add 100 data section IDs. We can just use that one simple targeting, and it'll apply to all sections on the site that don't have background images. All right, so there you go. That is how to add triangle section dividers to your website, and I gave you a couple different ways of targeting sections, so you can add them to specific sections or add them to all sections on your site. Go ahead and check out the CSS. It's linked in the description to this video. You can just copy it right from my blog post. And if you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified of more awesome Squarespace customization videos in the future. All right, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one.